Welcome back. I'm glad you're here for more stories. Timestamps in the description box. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Opie writes, Husband, 39, and I, 35, met 10 years ago. He was, up until last year, the love of my life. He was my rock and I his. We shared the same interests, humor, and views. We also were child-free. I owned a little sandwich shop that was fairly popular near huge office buildings. I loved my job and I was content. I made a good living. My husband is an engineer. When COVID hit and people started working from home, my business went down pretty quickly, and by the fall of 2020, I had to close for good. I still did some catering gigs, but not near enough to have a decent source of income. My husband said that I shouldn't be worried because he could support both of us. I went to college, HR management, a 3-year program. Around the same time as all that happened, my husband confessed to me that he might have changed his mind about being child-free, something that I had noticed before he confessed. I loved my husband very much, and I had started noticing him around friends and family members who have small children. He was so adorable. And to be honest, without my very hectic job, I also started thinking the same. We had our son November last year, the best thing that ever happened to me. But just 3 weeks after I gave birth, my husband came to me and confessed that he cheated on me. It felt like the ground opened from under me. How could that be possible? He was my love, and I was his. Wasn't I? He apologized and tried to blame it on the pandemic, on being bored at home, on being scared to be a father, on, quote, midlife crisis, unquote. He loved me and didn't want to lose me. I felt so trapped with a small baby that needed me. No job and no place to go. Good job, hubby. You sure knew when to deliver this blow. A week later, he asked me what I thought about opening the marriage. Humans aren't meant to be monogamous, and while he still loved me more than anything in the world, he didn't find me enough. I started crying and begging him not to humiliate me. If he just gave me some time, we could divorce and go our separate ways. He said he wasn't interested in divorce. He didn't want to replace me, just add some new excitement into our relationship. 2 weeks later, he came home with her and told me that she's moving in with us. A 26-year-old that he met at work. He started showing her the apartment and explained how important it was for me to have everything clean and tidy all the time, and that she should abide by that. She was smiling the whole time. He took her to the guest bedroom. She's been living with us ever since. I moved to my son's room and put locks on, and I've been living with my baby for almost a year now. Rarely existing in the common areas, beside preparing for my catering gigs. The girlfriend moved eventually into my bedroom with my husband. He warned me that this would happen if I refused to move back. Funny how we can adjust so fast and find small pleasures even in the most difficult times. Having my baby and seeing him grow has been my biggest comfort. Him and my studies. After a few months, my husband gave up trying to talk to me outside of matters concerning our son. He finally realized neither fighting, tantrums, nor life bombing worked on me. And most importantly, he stopped trying to get intimate with me. Besides the occasional, quote, I love you, unquote, or, quote, I miss you, unquote, text, sometimes a sext, while he's literally on the other side of the wall. His girlfriend kept her distance from me, and I was thankful for that. She moved out a few times after they would fight. I don't know the details, but I would guess that she wanted exclusivity. Oh, the irony. She always showed up again after a couple of days. I acted like I didn't notice any of it. I have 1 year left of my studies, but after my internship practicing semester at a big firm, my boss offered me a paid internship. It's a full-time job starting in January. It would mean work and study full-time, but I know I will manage. I'm just so happy. This means that I now have the means to find my own place, and I did. A small studio, 32 square meters. I'm moving November 1st. I will have to break the news eventually to my husband that I'm moving out and filing for divorce. I don't want to tell him right now, but once I start packing, he will probably understand anyway. I don't know what his reaction would be. Ideally, he would be relieved, but somehow I doubt it. Right now, he thinks I'm bound to him for at least another year because of my studies, and he's still acting like I'm his wife. I have been so lucky this far, and hopefully my moving out and divorce won't be any different. I haven't been this happy in many months, and I wanted to share it somewhere since nobody in my surroundings knows what I have gone through. This again is one of those stories that is very hard to wrap your brain around it. You think you know somebody, and then one day there's this stranger in front of you and your life is turned upside down. But Opie, I'm so proud of you. You didn't accept the situation, you focused on your future, on your goals, and now you're about to move out. Apart from that, I have to say I feel your husband probably always wanted this kind of setup. But he knew he couldn't pull it off as long as you were earning your own income, because this happened the moment you no longer had the kind of income you had prior to the pandemic. So I think he was probably always like this, OP, just waiting for the right moment to take off his mask. That was a month ago, and now we have OP's update. Gosh, I don't even know where to start. Maybe thank you for supporting me on my last post. Besides the few worthless, quote, "Why don't you just leave?" unquote comments. I just wanted to vent and share my story, but many of you have requested an update after I've moved. I got the keys to my little apartment 2 weeks ago because the previous tenant moved out earlier. I was grateful because I wanted to paint the room and do some makeover. I talked to the landlady and ended up telling her my whole story. LOL. She promised me her next 2-bedroom that becomes available. When I got the keys, I felt that I could finally breathe. I'm not on good terms with my family, but I ended up telling them what's been going on in my life this past year, and my friends too. I don't know why I kept this a secret for so long. Maybe because I was too ashamed or embarrassed, or maybe because I had a definite plan and didn't want outside influence or distraction. I didn't want my best friend to feel obligated to host me. I didn't want my sister to ask if, quote, I could forgive him, unquote, or my in-laws to try and, quote, change his mind, unquote. So the best thing I knew was to keep quiet and act like everything was normal. I moved last Friday. I had packed all my kitchen gear and my son's and my clothes, toys, etc. while my husband was at work. My best friend and her husband helped me. I didn't take any of the furniture because I thought it could wait until we divorced, and I requested division of property. I have no room for anything in my little apartment anyway. When my husband came home, I told him that I was leaving. He was confused at first, but I told him about my new apartment. So he asked me how I was going to afford it. His facial expression changed and he looked scared. He started telling me how he has been regretting all of what he did. He loved and missed me. He knew that he messed up and has been thinking that this wasn't what he wanted. He wanted his family back, our son and me. He asked me if I wanted my baby not to have his parents together. Then he said that he was leaving his girlfriend and she would be moving out, and it could be the two of us again. His girlfriend started fighting with him and I just left. He has now been calling me asking to see us. I still want a decent co-parenting relationship with him, so he took our son on Sunday to his parents to spend time with him. This is the first time I'm without my son a whole day. I cried the entire time. I need to get used to this. My in-laws apologized for what my husband did. I think they think this is going to pass and we will be back together. I think everybody thinks that besides my best friend. I won't try to convince them. Let time tell them instead. My feelings are letting me down now. After all he did, I still love him with all my heart and miss him. His kisses, his eyes, the way he looks at and touches me. How weird is that? I don't know if this is good or bad. I don't know if these feelings will disappear and what they will be replaced with. Hate? Is harboring hate for a man I'm bound to for at least 17 more years something good? Maybe I should use my love for him to create a better co-parenting relationship. Maybe I should not stop loving him, just find a new meaning for this love. Our son is so much like him, especially his smile. It makes it even harder not to think about or miss him. This past year, I have not had time to reflect over my feelings. I've done a great job being matter of fact and suppress my feelings. But now I'm on my own in my own apartment, and I can finally cry and mourn the love that we lost. And the weirdest thing is that I really believe that he still loves me too, in his own weird way. I don't think he ever stopped loving me. I have watched him with his girlfriend for a year now. It's never like how he was with me when we were happy. The only times I could see his old loving self was when he looked at our son or at me when he thought I couldn't see him. When I think of this, I cry even more because what a waste of a beautiful relationship, and for what? My son's birthday is in a few days. I feel so guilty, but I will not be celebrating it with my husband. My son is still too young to remember, so I won't be hurting him. Hopefully, when he is older, my husband and I are on better terms, so we can celebrate him together. But for now, I'm doing a party with my family and friends, and my husband can do a party for him if he wanted. I just wanted to say something before I leave. Last time, many accused me of being too dependent, letting my husband take care of me and our son. I thought this is how life/love/partnership was supposed to be. I had a very respectable business and I loved my job. I was happy and content. I had a loving and supportive husband. We bought our beautiful place and renovated it from scratch with our both hard-earned money. I never foresaw the pandemic and how my business would suffer, how my life would be turned upside down. And when it did, I thought I could rely on my husband because that's what people are supposed to do. If the roles were reversed, I would gladly have supported him until he got on his feet again, because in the long run, the whole family would reap the benefits. So no, I wasn't dependent. I thought I had a good safety net. If you still don't understand that people, no matter where they are in life, could fall and need to start over, expecting their loved ones to support them, or at least not take advantage of them. If you still don't understand that this doesn't mean that they are weak, then there's nothing more I could say to explain myself. So I'll leave it at that. OP, you do not have to explain yourself to anyone. You have gotten out of this situation and you did it the best way possible for you. There are so many people out there stuck in unhappy situations wanting to get out. People we don't even realize that they're going through this. A lot of people, because of finances, they can't get out of their unhappy domestic situations. Opie mentioned in her previous post, in her first post, that some people replied saying, "You should just leave." Careless words to say it doesn't help anybody. Stories like yours, Opie, gives hope to people in similar situations, being stuck. You are an inspiration, and I love this story. It's a sad story until we find out that Opie got out and Opie is starting her new life. And Opie, do not go back to your soon-to-be ex-husband, because I know you will regret it. But I know you know better. You're not going to go back. Let's get some comments with replies from Opie. I know this is your life and real pain, but please know that from reading both your posts, I just feel so inspired. Your perseverance is admirable. You display so much strength, and I'm just in awe of the mental stamina it takes to get through something like this and not crumble. You are a literal hero for your son and a badass to me. Opie replies, even though my son is the reason I stayed for so long, if I was on my own, I would have rather lived in a car than stay another second with them. But he is also the reason I didn't crumble. I just couldn't. Thank you. And a final comment with a reply from Opie. And another important question is his girlfriend still living with him? Opie replies, no, he told her to move out. He really believes her moving out will fix our marriage. Well, Opie, it is a bit too late for that, isn't it? Opie, I wish you the best of luck. I'm so proud of you. You can be proud of yourself. And I know there are people listening right now that are inspired by your story. Story number 2. Opie writes, my husband has been lying to me about our finances and we are effed. The title is basically the story. I am also to blame for this. I realize that. We divided household responsibilities pretty evenly, but we don't split every responsibility down the middle, and finances were his job. He's better at them. I thought he was better at them. We are $50,000 in credit card debt. I did not know about this. $50,000 on home equity loan. I did know about this. 2 months behind on our mortgage and several behind on a car payment. I quit my job when we decided to have my middle child 3 years ago. Then we had our youngest a year ago. I thought we were fine. We should have been fine. I don't understand what the F happened or why he waited so long to tell me. I trusted him completely. I would never have believed this. I love him so much. By all accounts, we had an ideal marriage. Or we did. I thought we did. I have no idea how we can ever come back from this. It will take years to pay this off. I am in school full-time, but will need to drop out because we can obviously no longer afford childcare while I'm in class. That just sets us back even more because my earning potential is lower. The most effed up part is that my dad did this exact same thing to my mom. It was awful to live through as a teenager. It was a serious contributor in being resistant to commitment or ever relying on anyone for anything. My husband obviously knew about this. It was my number one reservation when I was quitting my job. I can't believe I was so stupid. This is my worst fear coming true, and I have no idea what to do. Edit. I don't know why everyone is making up that my kids are in daycare full time, but they are not. I pay a babysitter while I take one class on campus. Our oldest is in public school, and our younger two are home with me. I am going to community college, and 75% of my classes are online. The rest are at night. There is no daycare bill. It's literally a $300 a month expense, and it should have worked. Edit. We are not living large here. I cook everything from scratch. We don't get takeout. I use cloth diapers. I buy the kids' clothes second-hand or get hand-me-downs. Our cars aren't new. Our mortgage is very reasonable. We cut out all extras when I stopped working because my job would hardly have paid for daycare. There is no reason his income should not have been enough. I don't know what he spent money on, but it clearly wasn't our bills. My husband makes $140K a year. I was making $30K a year. We had no credit card debt when I quit my job. Our mortgage and home equity loan combined are $2,000 a month. Our car payments combined are $500 a month. I know Reddit thinks women asexually produce children and then force men to support them, but my husband enthusiastically wanted children as well and had an equal role in creating them. My salary would not have justified the cost of daycare. We both did the numbers 100 different ways, and it should have worked. It should still be working. I don't know what the F he's spending money on, or if this is even the extent of the issue, but I didn't just frivolously spend money like an effing idiot. I bust my ass to keep our expenses low. The plan was that I would finish school and start working again by the time my middle was in kindergarten, so we would have only one child in daycare. It was a good plan. It would have worked. I don't know what happened, and I'm terrified to find out. Update. I'm going to post this here, and I'll come back and respond individually later on, maybe tomorrow. When I posted this, I had literally just learned about how bad it was. I spent the day going through everything and talking to my husband. He's cheating on me. The woman has 2 kids, and I guess he's been helping her with them. They could be his for all I know. He's currently vomiting and crying in the bathroom. So that's effing great. I unfortunately have to stay married to him long enough to figure out the finances. I am talking to a bankruptcy lawyer on Monday. Thank you everyone who made me feel a little less alone today. Okay, we're going to get to Opie's update soon, and I have to say, Opie, like a lot of people in the comments, this is not what I was expecting. I thought a gambling addiction, maybe drugs. I didn't see this one coming, and sadly, you didn't either. I can't even imagine. This is one of those situations, one of those stories where I literally can't imagine how I would react. You know how with these stories we always put ourselves in the OP's shoes and we try to imagine what we would say, what we would do, the actions we would take. I don't know with this one, I've got to say, other than file for divorce, I don't know beyond that, honestly. Let's get to comments and then we get an update. Oh my gosh, this is so awful. I am so sorry all of this is happening. I strongly urge you to consult a divorce attorney before the bankruptcy attorney. A divorce attorney will be able to tell you how to best proceed on the bankruptcy. You may even be able to negotiate that all the debt is his in the divorce, and you won't have to actually file bankruptcy. Someone else says, he is vomiting and crying in the bathroom? I am so sorry you're going through this. Send him to her house and file for divorce and child support immediately. And here's OP's update. 47 days ago, I posted about finding out my husband has been lying about our finances and that we are financially effed. That was just the tip of the iceberg, as it turns out. After I spoke to him trying to figure out how this was possible, he admitted to having a second family. He's been cheating on me and has 2 kids with this lady. The best part? She's his second cousin, and they've been in love since high school. What even is my life? The debt is worse than I initially thought. It's $100K in credit card debt, and there could be more. Who knows at this point? I guess his cousin had a good job, but lost it over COVID. And that's when he started trying to pay bills for both households. I've hired a divorce lawyer who is going through everything so I can figure out a path forward. He's staying with his mistress, cousin, and his children. Are they also his cousins? And I guess finally living his dream. We've agreed it's best that our children don't stay there right now. All of the children are having trouble adjusting, but oldest is 8, so he has some understanding of what is going on. It's just gutting me. Luckily, we have a crap load of equity in our house, as we bought it cheap and did a lot of the labor of fixing it up ourselves. It's going to hurt me to no end to sell this house, but it should be enough to let us pay off most of what we need to pay off and go our separate ways. I started bartending again, which isn't exactly glamorous. It should get me and the kids through the next 2 years while I finish school. My ex-husband has so far said he would prefer the kids live with me and he will pay me child support. I guess we'll see how that goes. My lawyer is also going to handle a custody agreement. If you had told me 48 days ago that this would be my future, I would have laughed. Some mornings, I still wake up feeling like it's not real. I'm assuming at some point I will get very sad about this. But right now, it's so ridiculous that I can't feel anything but a sick sort of humor. From the outside, and even from the inside, we looked like a boring happy couple. You never know what's really happening behind closed doors, I guess. A lot of things finally make a lot of sense now. I thought he traveled for work 1 weekend a month. I've always thought it was weird, but it's always been that way as long as I've known him. He doesn't travel for work. He spends that weekend with her. He gets a very generous amount of personal days and vacation, which he was always extremely reluctant to use. Except he wasn't reluctant to use them. He just used all of them to spend time with her and their children. The work phone and work computer, nope. Personal devices that he used to hide what was going on. I have started to feel bad for her in a way, because she must have lived such an incomplete life all of these years. And her children, I can't imagine. Anyway, I just wanted to post an update. So many of you were so wonderful that day I posted, which was one of the worst days of my life. One day, maybe I'll write a book after I've sorted out all the insane details. I'll update again if the plot thickens before then. LOL. Let's get a comment with a reply from Opie. I'd also be curious if his name is on the cousin's house, because if so, you get a piece of that pie. Opie replies, my lawyer said there is a lot to, quote, unravel, unquote, but that I will likely not be responsible for at least some of the debt. My husband's mother died when he was 14, and his father is an alcoholic, so we don't see much of him. He has one sister who lives across the country, and I've only met her a handful of times. He was close with his dad's brother, who is much older than his dad. The cousin he is involved with is that man's daughter's daughter. I think that's second cousin, yeah? Overall, their family isn't very close. Except for the two of them, I guess. Yeah, Opie, they are definitely close. You said you kind of feel sorry for her, but you know what, Opie? She knew all along about you and your children. She knew what she was getting herself into. You had no idea until recently what was going on. I'm glad you're working, and as you say, it's not a glamorous job, but you know what? It's an income. It's for you and your children to get to a better place in life, for you to finish your education. I hope you are not held responsible for your husband's debt. Well, once again, we've come to the end of today's stories. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me, for allowing me to entertain you with these stories, and I hope to see you again soon. If you did like this, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me a lot. Consider subscribing, leave a comment, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.